Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the film, you stupid son of a bitch, in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
Shut up. I'm Pete Mullen.
I'm Gerald Christopher, double agent Porter.
And today we are joined by our old Movies by Minutes pal from 5 Minutes of Trouble and 5 Minutes of Bonsai, Mr. Josh Horowitz. Welcome
Hello.
back, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Great to be back with the Jones boys.
Oh, well, it's good to have you here. It's been a while. We haven't
Yeah.
seen you since, I
Well,
guess
since,
last
the-
Crusade.
Yeah, since then, and then we were saying earlier, I was at that Movies by Minutes Denver.
Yeah,
That was
a
fun
lifetime ago.
and a long time ago. Yeah.
Yes, it
man.
was.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you back here in the jungle with a bunch of
Yes.
daffy Russians. Because this is minute 79. This is the one where some Russians are getting bounced out of Indy's duck boat. And then this minute ends with Mutt leaping into the front of his duck boat with his sword drawn.
Mm.
Pete, question for you. Is this bump a tope? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
He's not
have
talking about a wig?
idea.
Well, okay, wait. Josh! Josh, this question is for you.
Yes, sir.
Is this bump a tope?
I have never heard of that. What is a tope?
Yeah. How do
You
spell
know,
it?
well, Tope.
Huh.
It's those, like, it's the bumps that you encounter in Mexico. Like they make you so that you don't speed.
Like a speed bump.
It's a
Do they
speed
know,
bump, yeah,
Put
but
logs
like,
in the way as a speed bump?
well, pretty much. I mean, in Mexico, I was driving to Chichen Itza, and on the way, actually, I went there, and on the way back, I didn't take, like, if you go there, sort of from like the Cancun area, there's a highway that you can take,
Yeah.
and it's pretty straight. But on the way back, I didn't take the highway, and I kind of went through some of the smaller towns, and they have, these topes are throughout these streets, especially some of these local streets, and they're like punishing. They're like this. And so if you're going over, and if you're kind of driving, I don't always pay attention to every single rule and everything. So you're kind of going over these things, and you're like, oh, this won't be that bad. It's just like a kahoof. And the car, well, the rental car is, all of a sudden like chum 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 chum.
Ugh.
They're
Speaking of
very
that sound, the
serious.
people I feel sorry for when Jerry's driving, either in Mexico or Sri Lanka. I've seen this both places where people will dry peppers on the road, like they'll lay out like all their peppers to dry in the
Peppers?
sun.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I can see like
does?
Jerry just racing through like, there goes the
These bumps
salsa.
aren't so bad.
Yeah.
Well, these things, I mean, those things are really brutal. If you're used to, like, as Tommy, you said, a speed bump, or where there's sort of like here, in the U.S., you have these sort of suggestions to slow down near a school zone. I mean, it's not like that in some other parts of the world. And
No,
I
some
wonder.
can get pretty extreme. You get those,
Yeah.
like, hey, our kids are playing here, and there'll be an incline. There'll be like a steep grade.
Well, have
Yeah,
you guys
you
been in
bottom
those
your car out.
garages, the car garages where the bumps are just horrible and you make a point of trying to drive around them? Even
Yeah.
though
Oh, right, yeah.
sometimes
Oh, yeah.
incoming
Yeah.
cars.
Then you get in an accident. Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
That's
Those,
always
you
fun.
know, it's really funny because they put these bumps in the road, and if you go over it, it just ruins your car.
Yeah.
That's really funny. What is the reason behind? I've never understood this. What is the reason behind the spikes where they say, like, do not back up?
Yeah.
I've wanted to back up over those so badly my entire
No,
life.
you don't. I've known people who have blown tires that
Yeah.
way. It's
Really?
just not fun at all. No.
Oh man.
I've known people who've blown their tires going over it the right way, and the thing just didn't go down like it should.
Oh,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so okay, so what?
I've always
Okay,
been
so
terrified of that. They don't
say
have
it's
that
like-
much around here, but when I see them, I'm like, I'm anxious.
so it's like at a rental car place, and you go. It's like if you're exiting, you just rented a
Yeah.
car, and you're exiting, and the little bar goes up, the little gate goes up, and you're like, whatever you do, they're screaming at you, don't go backwards. And so you're like,
Yeah.
okay, is that to prevent?
I like the only
people-
way they're screaming that at you is if you're actively going backwards.
Right.
So I like Jerry's like, what was that? Wait, let me back up. I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'll be there in 1 sec.
Well,
Is that
I like
so-
how you had a previous guest, Eric, who had mentioned that this is basically like a Disneyland ride, and
Yeah.
with all these bumps and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
certainly
totally is.
feels like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I actually, those three guys fly up in the air, and I love that. I think that that's very realistic. I think it would be hard to stay on. It'd be hard to stay on. Those guys are like standing, they're off kilter. The thing pops up, and you're like, yeah, they would probably fly out now.
And it's economical for the movie. You get rid of 3 or 4
Yeah.
extra guys.
It's,
so you don't
it's
have to
different
go
than the
out.
physics, though, before when he was on that rocket sled.
This is true.
Right.
very much. Very
There they
much.
stick
Although he was
on.
being pushed back into the seat, whereas these guys are the force is acting in a different direction.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was a very smooth ride. That was very straight, level. Yeah. Very scientific. This one's all higgledy-piggledy.
Also, can I get a do it, Tommy, do it?
I knew you were going to say that. Wait, I've been practicing this. It's like a it's like a warble to it.
But he doesn't. He just keeps doing it too. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
I have a name for that one, actually. That's
Really?
the 10 seconds into this minute. This is the cousin of the Wilhelm scream. It's called the warbling whoa.
He tried out for the Wilhelm, and they went with his cousin instead.
Well,
They
so
never let him forget it.
I think that is like very, very operatic.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was going to say very Looney Tunes, but I guess, yeah.
Well,
Well, they could both be the same thing.
yeah, it's true.
what
Probably
you know,
hired
if,
some
if,
soprano to just
Yeah.
do that sound effect.
Like the Barbara Seville episode.
Yeah.
if you listen to it, it's beautifully performed.
Mhm.
And the other thing that sucks is that that no one's actually in any danger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
having the time of his life. He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It says here I should yell. I should warble.
Yeah.
So I'll
yeah.
do that.
Mm.
Caterwaul.
And what's with the skull flying up and landing directly in Ox's lap? Is it drawn to him, or does it?
Well, he
Is
was
it gonna
holding
see-
on to it, and it just
then it
bounced
was-
up, and then he caught it again.
Okay, I knew he was holding on to it, but then it was just I didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden, it like flies from the sky into his lap.
And by the way, we were saying last time, Jared was talking about the kind of Christ-like visage of Oxley holding the thing. That's this shot.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's
Ah.
clearly that he caught the thing, and then
Mm.
we previously saw the second half of the shot where he's like kind of
Oh
holding
yeah,
it,
you're
and
right.
like he's got
yeah,
that look of relief on it.
You're
That's
right.
what that look of relief was. And
Wow.
You're absolutely
part of
right.
the passion
Yeah.
of Oxley was that he recaught the skull.
Well, he seems shocked in this one, but I mean, maybe it's just that whole dazed thing that he seems to be in throughout the whole movie.
Mhm.
yeah,
And then I just have to pull it up here, a little Oxley tangent here. I mean, here's a guy's he's pretty much a key character to this film, but the thing is he's dazed and he's wacky throughout the most of it. And when I first saw this film, and by the way, I've only seen this twice, once in the
Hey.
theater and then once in preparation for this.
Nice.
But I just remember when I first saw the film, I couldn't relate to this guy because he was just so wacky and dazed. I mean,
Yeah.
there is backstory there, because you got Mutt, who's referencing Oxley as this mentor father figure, that he didn't have growing up. But the thing is, we never actually get to see Oxley in his normal capacity,
Yeah.
really, until the end of the
That's
film.
true,
And
yeah.
and I think that this makes him less of a sympathetic character because we can't really
Yeah.
compare his madness to his sanity.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys talk about were there any cut scenes that you know about where, he was normal for just
No,
a brief time? Or
I
I mean, I know at the end, but not
yeah,
at the beginning.
anything like that.
Yeah,
And it's doubly frustrating because it's John Hurt. And you're like, oh, come on. Can I
I
please
know, he's a
just
good actor.
get some beautiful John Hurt action going? And nothing. It's giving me nothing.
I
He's
was-
dazed and weird.
wondering if this shot with the so he goes over the tope and the skull flies up and it lands right back down in his arms, and you're like, okay, is this a Temple of Doom trolley car jump?
No. This is I don't have no, this is kind of, if you're in a car and you toss something up in the air and then it comes right back down, you catch it.
Jerry, you think it's a Yahweh moment?
Or as Pete said, yeah,
the
go ahead.
physics here, I don't know if this is a good question. I need to get Jim O'Kane to weigh in on this, but it's like if you're in an airplane or a train or a closed car and you toss something in the air, it will come right back down because the air inside the car is moving at the same velocity that you are. But if you're
you're moving, everything's it doesn't matter if it's open air or not, because
if you throw a skull up into the air, it's moving initially at the same speed you are, but when it gets high enough over the windshield, the air pushing against it is going to start pushing it backwards. And so it's going to move forward at a slightly less velocity. So it shouldn't land right in his lap. It should either hit him like on the top of the head or land behind him.
And don't forget that it's also kind of eggplant shaped, so it may not be perfectly balanced.
Yeah,
that's
true. Yeah.
Well, Pete, you were onto something earlier. Like, is the skull drawn to Oxley, or is it like a magnet thing? Like, is there something about Oxley that's metal and the skull? Because they make it look like the skull is somehow drawn or attached to Oxley.
Maybe it was the tin plate that was put in his head during the big war.
Yeah, that's why he's loony. Yeah.
Actually, I have another thing about this, because we keep mentioning about how the bag gets thrown through the air and stuff. I mean, this whole truck chase thing seems to be an homage to the awesome desert truck chase in Raiders, as well as the music. But the difference being that here's an open top vehicle. So how different would this whole sequence have been if the Jeep had a roof?
Yeah.
Probably
there's
wouldn't
bounce those 3 or 4 guys out of there so easily, for one thing.
Well, and if you don't have a roof, you got no Nazi dad.
That's true.
Oh, that's right. If you do Cairo in the open area.
But what if you had a roof here? Like, would this be better?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it crossed my mind, the operatic soprano he's behind the truck. I kind of thought, like, could he do a reverse Indy thing where he could go from the back of the truck and crawl his way up to the front of the truck?
From the bottom?
Yeah, from the bottom. Yeah.
Right.
Kind of like a reverse, because, if we're talking about the Raiders truck chase, I mean, that guy could have, it would have been a little tough with the jungle floor.
I was gonna say, like, they don't they specifically don't show that guy. They don't linger on him being dragged behind that, because I can't imagine that they could pull off, like, there's roots and stubs and things and branches and creatures, and there's no way he should crawl up later and just be like, the front half of him is just gone, like it's just sliced away.
This guy gets the shaft more than anybody, though, because he does get dragged along a little bit, and then he gets shot at. And then he ends up rescuing the skull, tosses it to safety, and then gets punched off the back. And then he just, I guess
he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what you get.
It was interesting that Spalko does start shooting right next to Mr. Warbling Woe.
Yeah,
she's out of ammo.
Is she? Yeah. I was about to say, is it just because she's a good shot? But I guess since she doesn't hit anything,
right.
She's not.
Doesn't even hit Mac earlier.
Yeah.
Would we? I was like, she only goes for her sword when her gun is empty. Like, if she tosses away the rifle in bad guy fashion and then pulls out her sword. And would it be more impressive if she just decided, she's like, nah, forget it. Like, I got plenty of bullets, but I don't care. I'm going to use the sword because I'm that kind of bad guy.
What does she say when she pulls out her sword?
I think it was some Russian curse that she may have been saying at that point.
Oh, maybe.
But, it's interesting with this sword. I thought one of the reasons you may have asked me to come on to this was because I know a bit about swords. I was actually on the fencing team at UCLA.
Oh, get out of here.
10 years before this movie came out.
Oh,
at one point, I was on the Princess Bride Minute, and I got the whole sword fighting scene. Had a lot of fun talking about that.
Oh, nice.
But I know a little bit about this sword just from that. I mean, it's a rapier, with its round hand and counter guards. And the way she holds it is interesting. I used to do saber fencing, which it kind of looks like this, but you kind of hold it like a stick. She holds it it's a kind of a pistol grip style. which is something you'd usually when you fence foil. And this gives you better tip control, but less power when you do your swings. And she seems to be doing a lot of swinging, so I'm not sure why she held that.
Can you hurt somebody with is it a weapon or is it more of a training device, a foil?
With a foil? Like Olympic-style foil. I mean, it bends, and it doesn't have a sharp tip, obviously.
So you couldn't walk around killing a bunch of people with an Olympic foil?
No, but you'll bruise them. I remember even when you wear the denim jackets for protection and stuff. I mean, you get nice little paintball style bruises. You get hit sometimes.
Yeah. Huh. I actually did fencing my freshman year at Indiana, Pete.
Oh, nice.
I took it as like an elective, and I know exactly. They have the swords have a little ball at the end. Mm-hmm. And if you get a good shot, like the whole, you just, mortalize somebody because the whole foil arcs, right? That's how it, if you stick somebody pretty good, the foil starts to curve.
Yeah.
Well, it'll bend, and then, if you've got everything hooked up, then, it conducts the metal, and then the buzzer goes off, and you got the touch.
Oh, we didn't have that kind of fancy. Yeah.
It was, no, you didn't hit me.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. You didn't hit me. Totally. But I remember those. I mean, I remember it being boiled. Those like the armor, whatever. I guess you said the denim wear or whatever. It's really hot. It's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it does get hot. Yeah. Yeah. Because then you have to wear the full mask when it looks like a beekeeper mask. I mean, yeah. You get hot pretty quick.
And it hurts if you get a good somebody knacks, you get a bruise. Mm-hmm. You're right, or like a whip. If somebody just gets angry and they're like, yeah, and they whip it across, illegally.
But this isn't one of those though. This is a rapier, so it's got
a rapier.
It has a sharp edge and a sharp point, and
it's probably closest to an épée. She is swinging it like a saber when she does all of her things. So.
Mm. Huh. I have to say, I feel like we've flat out said this before or just alluded to it, but her haircut is very stupid. I don't like watching her right now. She looks stupid. She's in full Buster Brown Dutch boy paint can kind of just dopey. It just looks dopey. She's got a little
neat.
It's very. I think maybe it looks better when it is really neat, but right now it's kind of half. It's blowing as much as it can in the wind, and it's not. It looks.
I like it.
Tom, did you ever have a haircut like that? That they were popular. I remember having a bowl haircut.
Yeah.
It was like 5.
Yeah, maybe that's why I hate it.
It also looks like that girl's hair in Pen 15.
Oh yeah. Well, see, she pulls it off.
Yes.
I haven't even seen that show, but I've seen the ads, and that works for her. But yeah, I don't think that's what she's going for. I don't think she's going for 5-year-old Tommy Taylor in the 1970s. They could have done something else. I don't know.
There's, I think it goes to show you just how they treated the film, which was sort of we talk about a romp and a fun-filled, carnival ride.
Yeah. Although I think in the case of her look and her style, I think they were trying something, and it didn't work. You can see what they're trying to do, kind of severe, kind of straight cut thing, no nonsense, but it looks silly.
Well, is it kind of like an anti-Willie Scott in a way? I mean, you've got the the brunette, you got the very cropped hair as opposed to the frizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Is Mac playing Bloody Indy? Is it like
what?
Bloody Mary, where if you say Indy 3 times, he'll talk to you?
Oh yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. It's okay. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we have to, right? We have to.
No, we don't.
So, this is we started off with Mac. He and Indy were buddies, and they've been captured by the Russians. Then, Mac turns on him. He's working with the Russians back in Area 51. And now we're finding out that he's CIA. He was on his side the whole time. Knowing the movie, we've seen the whole movie. Some of us remember even parts of it after this. There are I don't know, a couple more, triple, quadruple crosses from Mac. If those hadn't happened and it just turned out for the rest of the movie that Mac was solidly on Indy's side, he had been faking him out for a while for trying to fake out the Russians. Would that be satisfying? Would that be good? Would we be? Because people discount Mac completely. I'll ask you, Josh, because Jerry and Pete and I have talked about it till we're blue in the face. But how do you feel about Mac, and does this work for you? And are you, I don't know, elated, bored by his revelation?
I had trouble with Mac. The time that I saw this movie in the theater. I just, you want there to be some sort of a good sidekick character, and yet so quick he turns. I mean, yes, there's precedent for it, with the whole Satipo thing, I guess, in the first movie.
Yeah.
But, and then for him to turn again, I was kind of hoping, all right, fine, I guess this is like a Lando Calrissian thing, okay. And, and then for it to go back again, it was like, all right, I don't really have too much faith or really interest in this guy too much. There were other more interesting
and you
characters.
want to you want to, at least I'll speak for myself, I want to like Mac. I want Mac to be really cool. And on paper, if you say Indy's buddy in this movie is his old pal who they were in the war together and they were double agents in Berlin and stuff, and he's like, this kind of cockney dude with a gambling problem or something, and he's played by Ray Winstone, and he's a cool guy, like that all sounds really awesome. And like really satisfying and cool, but it doesn't. I mean,
when I watched this film, I wanted to hear more about what had happened in the last 20 years. The whole. I was interested in hearing what did he do during the war, and I was kind of hoping. Movie? I was hoping that Mac's character, there'd be a lot of references to it, and you could see the camaraderie there, and for it to kind of get thrown aside immediately, I was like, oh. Great.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we're going here.
Yeah. What exactly is a double agent? What would that have looked like in Berlin? Does that mean that Indy is dressed up as an American, but he's telling the Nazis that he's German? So the Nazis think he's a Nazi dressed as an American, but he's really an American faking the Nazis out, thinking that they think he's a Nazi, but still being an American.
Or it could just be, I think it could be more mercenary. Like it could just be Indy said he was going to help the Nazis and they believed him and they thought he was on their side.
Yeah.
Did they totally forget all the things from the previous movies? I mean, maybe if he had the uniform from the end of the third movie still in his wardrobe, he comes and visits them. But I mean,
that's all melted toad under the bridge.
Oh.
Gross.
But who's because that's sort of my thing about this is that would make the Nazis incredibly gullible. But it seems to me that this scene makes Indy sound so gullible. Like he's like, oh, double agent. And then he just lets him go. He's like, oh, yeah.
Now Indy's the stupid one because he didn't get it.
Yeah. And you know what? That line is like his shut up is pretty incredible. Max, you stupid son of a bit. That's great. Yeah. And then Indy, he's like, what were we?
Fredo.
And Indy's like,
you don't talk to Indiana Jones like that.
Right.
But Indy's line, it's like he's looking at us going, double agents. And it's really, it falls flat. He sounds gullible, and you're like, I'm not really believing this.
Yeah.
And
do you think it was a callback to the first movie, though? Remember, they're digging in the wrong place.
These writers are. I
thought about that when they were doing this.
All right, so Mac. Wait, Mac is a turncoat back at the beginning of the movie, and then when we see him, he's in wherever Mexico, Atacama, wherever he is,
right,
Mexicama. And you're like, oh, there's Mac again. So it's like, are you telling me that he's in the CIA then when he appears shadowy, following Indy going into the nunnery or the insane asylum? He's like the CIA said, go follow Indiana Jones.
No, that's a good question. Well, I guess it's like his job right there is to be still working for the Russians, to be undercover working for the Russians.
But how many Brits were working for the CIA? Wouldn't it have been MI5 or something?
Yeah, but then they
Yeah.
have to explain to the audience what MI5 is.
Yeah.
They pull over the duck boat and get out a chart and stop the whole movie. And also, why wouldn't Mac be like? Why wouldn't he say the Berlin thing back in Area 51? You know, like when he's first
Yeah.
pulling a gun, it's like, sorry, remember what happened in Berlin? It's kind of like that. Hey, Indy, Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't he have tried to clue him in back then? I don't know. I mean, Indy wouldn't have gotten it anyway.
Well,
so guess it
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
I think what I gather from this is that Mac is not actually a double agent, that he's just saying all this because he's completely duplicitous and he's out for what he's out for. But I think
Yeah.
to me, what seems dumb about it is that Indy comes across as being so vulnerable, like that he immediately believes him. Like he doesn't test it. He's like, wait a minute. I mean, he's just like, oh, double agent. Sure.
And if
Welcome
we
back.
cared at all about Mac, maybe we would do the same thing. We'd be like, oh, thank God. He's just CIA. He was faking everybody out. Thank goodness, Mac.
Right.
You're with us. You're our buddy.
Right.
I knew
Yeah.
I never should
Well,
have
it makes
doubted you.
sense if Indy does care more about Mac than the audience does.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, and because he does, we don't know why he does. Because he cares
Yeah.
about this guy more than we do. We don't get why he cares about him.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it would have been cooler, I think, if they had gotten like that one of the characters from Young Indiana Jones Chronicles to come back, like Remy or something.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Or did he get killed? I don't remember.
I don't remember
I
either.
don't remember either.
Hmm.
We haven't watched enough of those yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or have we?
No,
Though
we
it was
haven't.
cool that they do make a reference to that film or that series though. In
They
this
do,
film,
yeah.
which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah.
hmm
With the Pancho Villa thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or the
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
it
see
is,
Indy
yeah.
at one point like make some sort of a sign like up or something as he does it, and I wonder if
Yeah.
that was a direct reference.
Yeah.
When the throw me the skull, is that a Raiders reference? Throw me the skull, I'll throw you the idol.
Oh.
I guess so.
Maybe.
Although there's nothing else going bad. It's
Yeah.
just kind of one way. I guess that's just how this movie feels. It just tries to go.
There's no Satipo.
No, there's.
I thought she was saying "throw me the towel" the first time. I thought it was already
Yeah,
did
really.
this quickly.
I mean, if Mac is CIA, right? Like, why doesn't he prevent
That's
the Russians from
that's-
taking the skull?
Yeah.
And he does. Not only does he not prevent it, he waits until he doesn't do anything, and then Indy tries to hold on to the skull while Mac's not doing anything yet,
Right.
and then he waits till after the guy tosses the skull to Spalko, and then he punches him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which
And
by
I
the
honestly,
way-
again,
yeah.
I forget what happened. Like, I forget. I know he flips again. Mac
Yeah,
does,
I forget too.
But I forget if it's like, oh, I wasn't, like, I was CIA, but now I'm greedy, or that I was never on your side, or I don't know what the deal
Well,
was.
So,
see, I
yeah,
actually like this move because he's keeping all of his options open at this point. Like when he,
Right.
he looks like he's helping Indy, but he also looks like he's helping Spalko.
Well, so
He's
was
just
he
trying to
ever
survive in
in
the
the
jungle.
CIA? Is he using the CIA like he's actually in the CIA? And he's like, I didn't think I'd have to tell Indy this, but I do now, clearly, because he's got me in a headlock and he told me to shut up twice.
Yeah. And we had a code from years back. If you ever
Yes.
tell me to shut up twice, I'll admit that I'm in the CIA.
Is that the
Right.
code word? Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
So is that it? Or is he, like, as you said, is he actually in the CIA, but then later he gets greedy and he throws
Yeah.
it all away?
I can't wait to find out.
Yeah. Also, that punch is so visceral.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is that
Yeah.
not the best? I mean that is. I wrote down here, that we get the lovely German mechanic Scrappy von Fist punch sound effect as he dispatches that Russian. What, Jerry? What did you used to call that guy? Is it like Rucksuckle or something?
Oh,
yeah.
he got hit in the rucksuckle. Yeah. The guy, it's like
forgot
this,
about
this body blow that's sort of in this nebulous, like, it's like he punches him in his viscera.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
something ruptures. You're not
Yeah.
sure what. It's
He's
disgusting.
got something other than bread in his bread basket. It's going everywhere.
this I will say this, you're asking before back when we were in the green room, Josh, is there anything about this movie that's redeemable that we talk about? And I'll say this stunt is fantastic.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
how they do this. Yeah,
The guy going off the back?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Mac
Yeah.
does this like full on 180-degree left, left hook wallop.
Yeah.
And it's almost like from, one side of the screen to the other. And the
Yeah.
guy falls backwards off the duck. And it's like visually and sonically and spiritually and emotionally, it's really heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just
When
got to
you
love the
realize,
sound
like,
design in the whole film. I mean, it's just still Ben Burt. That's the one
Yeah.
tie
Yeah.
that binds all these films. That and the music,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and Harrison Ford. So I mean, it's still an Indiana Jones movie. Even though it's the fourth one, you still got to love some of these things.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was looking at it. I'm like, what did they do? Put a mattress behind the duck?
There's some
Like,
couple
how-
of like Disneyland Imagineers like who catch them off the
Who
back
catch
of the
it?
ride.
I mean, because it's moving. I don't know. I was impressed.
No, it is. It's good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. However it's executed, it looks like that guy gets ruined. That's
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So once Spalko gets that bag, it's mission accomplished, right? I mean, she obviously would just stop and turn around and go back to camp at this point, right? So why the hell are they driving straight? And why is she standing up to tie the bag?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
good question. Although they still need, she still needs either Indy or Ox at this point, right, to tell her how to get to the city.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the skull's gonna clam up.
Yeah, so I think she needs one of those
Right.
guys. So that's why
It's one of them, the gatekeeper, and she's the key.
Yeah.
Well, it's her one.
But that goes back to my question about like what Indy's like, we gotta get the skull back and get to Akator before. No, you don't. Don't do that. That's exactly what you shouldn't do, because they need you. The bad guys need you to do that. So don't do that.
And not
Yeah.
not only
Just
that,
turn around
like,
and go in the other direction.
if she has the skull, but she has no Indy and no Oxley,
Right.
the skull ain't talking to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hey, I just noticed something.
Huh.
She pulls her sword. She's wearing her sword, which I guess she has been during the whole movie. But then she has that case that Mutt got his sword from that we'll see in a
Right.
second. So like, is one her like her regular everyday sword, and then those are like her special I'm going to execute you in front of people swords, or
Well, she must keep, cases of swords in every one of the truck
guess
tanks,
so.
just in
She's-
case.
that's what they recommend in Sword Aficionado magazine that she subscribes to.
It's all marketing. You can't just have one sword. It's like you need a
Yeah.
sword. You need one for chopping and one for
Yeah.
puree. And
This is my Wednesday sword. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
My
It
Tuesday
slices,
sword.
it dices. Look at that tomato.
Now, how much would you pay?
So at the very end of the minute, we see you see Spalko in the Jeep or whatever, and you see like the camera kind of ducks down and it pops back up, and you see Indy and Mac reappear in the screen, sort of side by side now, in a way that like,
Yeah.
oh, they're allies now.
They're buddies.
The
It's
way
weird
it's
because Indy looks kind of suspicious, but Max got this like really serene smile on his face.
Yeah, that's
Well, so
right,
with
Pete. There's
this
this knowing
was his-
stare.
Yeah.
This was his, see, I punched the Russian off the Jeep, and see, now we're buddies. Is that what I'm supposed to glean from this shot?
Oh, maybe.
Either that or, hey, that dope is falling for it. I punched one,
Yeah.
punch one Russian, and now Indy thinks that I'm on his side. This is
Yeah.
working to perfection. I'm going to be rich somehow.
So, I feel like the problem is that the movie brought me to the point where I just don't care. Like I don't care whose side
Yeah.
Mac is on. Like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That sounds sad and dismissive, but it's really true. That's how it's you're not giving me enough movie.
And
Yeah.
Pete, did that happen for you after the refrigerator, or did that happen earlier?
I don't know when it happened the first time I saw the movie, but ever since I saw the movie the first time, I felt that way.
Yeah.
I just can't shake it. I don't know.
I mean,
I
it
feel
was,
like-
it was enough to keep me from watching the film for like 20 years.
Wow.
I had no problem with the bomb, with the fridge. I didn't have
I
any
don't
problem
either.
with any
Yeah.
of that. And I was having fun with this
That stuff's all
movie.
fun. Yeah.
And I feel like I came out of that tent a changed man. Like Indy was tied up in the tent and he had to look at the skull, and they were talking about the plot of some movie that I've never seen. I've yet to see. They're explaining all this stuff about what skulls do and what's going to happen at Akator and everything. I'm like, no, I can't. No, I'm going to come out of this and no.
Well, I can tell you, having just watched it on streaming, and I turned the subtitles on this time, and I can tell you it was a much better film this way. I caught a lot of
Oh, really?
stuff, yeah,
Okay.
that I didn't catch the first time. And being able to pause and appreciate things like, oh yeah, there's a thing of Marcus over there. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
on second viewing at home, you do appreciate it a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're still finding stuff to like. I'm not
Mhm.
giving up.
Well,
I
there's a
don't
lot
mean
of this
to-
movie I
yeah.
really enjoy. I just
Yeah.
Mac just really seems dumb. Parts of it just seem really dumb.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys are going to get to talk about Mutt and his fencing.
Yeah.
That is true. Hey, how do you feel about Mutt? Fencing not withstanding.
There was potential, I think.
Okay.
There, he's an interesting character. I like how he tries to play up the whole Marlon Brando Wild Bunch thing.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think maybe it's almost like at times they try a little too hard to make us really like that character and put him in situations where he doesn't really need to be there. I just loved seeing Marion. That was probably the highlight of my watching this whole film, was just seeing Karen Allen back. And she obviously just loves being in it. She's just grinning basically the whole time. And that was great.
Yeah.
I agree. It's good to see her. And yeah, you ask like what the good things about watching Crystal Skull minute by minute is. We realize we kind of like Mutt. Mutt's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Oh, so
It's
you guys
weird.
have warmed to Mutt.
Yeah. I don't know. He hasn't. I mean, maybe we'll hate him by the end of the movie. I don't know. But so far, we like him.
Yeah.
Very good.
But how do you mentioned? Okay, so you've seen the movie twice now. You saw it once, 20 years ago, and once,
Or maybe not 20. When did it come out?
maybe
2008?
15? I can't
Okay.
do
I
math.
think
Yeah,
2008.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 1 and 20.
Yeah. Well, I remember that year because that was the year that I met who would become my wife. And I think I remember
Hey.
going and seeing one of the first movies I saw with her was this one. And
Oh,
I
there
don't
you
think
go.
Lena had ever seen any of the other Indiana Jones movies. So this was her first
Oh,
introduction.
and you
Oh, no.
married somebody
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Has she
relationship
gone
with
back and
Studs
watched
is
the
all.
others?
No, actually, I don't think I've shown it to her. We did
Oh, wow.
get to watch the Star Wars movies. She'd never seen any of those, and
Oh man.
Wow.
yeah, but she got an appreciation for action films, probably starting with this one because she never used to go out and see this type of movie. But ever since then, like she's really enjoyed seeing the Avengers movies and Thor
cool.
and things like that.
Think of the second honeymoon you guys have. Just waiting. It's
Yeah.
just a button click away.
I know. Well, I want to see Raiders with her. That's still one of my favorite films of all time. But
sure.
it gets freaky. Sometimes I don't know if I'm ready to show my kids that yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it gets freaky, sure.
Mhm.
Well, we hope you didn't have a horrible time watching this.
Oh no. It was fun watching it again, and it was
Yeah.
a blast to be able to talk about it with you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jerry's not picking up his cues. I don't know. What do we do? Just poke him with a stick? or-
No. A blast not being able talking. Things get freaky. I had to go. Oh, speaking of freaky, this just in from Professor Freaky Porter. Coming in over the wire.
Beep.
What is the man the patron saint of besides ululating?
Ululating.
Ululating. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe
Yeah,
like the
the
patron
guy in the
saint of
back of
holding
the
on
tra-
for dear life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
need
Saving
that
the day for the
sometimes.
bad guys and then being
Yeah.
quickly
How about
dispatched off the back of a truck.
The patron saint of perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect pitch.
Actually, he's got pretty amazing grip strength too. If he's able to hold on to the moving duck boat with one hand and throw a perfect toss of this, fairly heavy skull with his other hand, that's a strong dude. That'd be hard to do.
Oh yeah.
The motherland is proud.
That's why they have those, the Russian weightlifters. They
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
work out their
They're
arms.
not kidding around.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Josh, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. It's always
Yeah,
It's
it was
been
a
a bumpy
pleasure. Thanks
ride,
for
but
inviting
it's
me.
been a fun ride. Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I should have asked you before. Are you doing, or is there anything that people should be on the lookout for? Anything,
Yeah.
any projects you got in the hopper?
Well, at the moment, we are going to be doing another episode of 12 Chimes It's Midnight.
All right.
That's with
Those are so good.
former guest of the show, Brett Stillo, and some some other people that I've worked with that are great actors and actresses. This one's going to be coming out. It's something that I wrote, and
cool.
I'm going to be also playing a part. It's got Russians in it. Actually,
Hey!
after watching this film, I kind of identified I may have had some inspiration from this film in this script we're going to be doing called Spooky.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that's coming soon to a podcast near you, hopefully in the next few months. And then
Awesome.
Aside from that, I mean, I do voice acting and audiobooks.
You do
If
so
go
many
on
Audible
Audible,
books
you
now.
can find a few, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a project that I was hoping to get started with Brett that was going to be called A is for Atari. We still have that
Ooh.
on the
Oh,
back
wow.
burner, where
Ooh.
we'd go over the entire Atari 2600 library one episode at a time
Oh my God.
and
that's
interview my
incredible.
daughter, who is 9 years old, and get her take on the games. So we
That's-
still
that would be
have
awesome.
that
Incredible idea.
in the back burner. We've recorded Adventure and 3D
Oh,
Tic-Tac-Toe, but we have,
That's
to,
just so great.
we have to work on that. So
That's amazing.
that's in the future.
Wow.
Oh, man.
We'll start a letter writing campaign to get Brett on board. Awesome. Well, everybody, keep your eyes open for that. And if you want to have a nice time while you're waiting for us to come back on Monday, head over to our group over at Facebook, Indiana Jones Minute and the Listeners Crusade over there. There's an ongoing conversation about Indiana Jones and his adventures and us and our adventures and whatever's going on over there. It's a good time, good conversation, good people. Enjoy and do that. And then come back here next Monday for minute 80. Wow. 80.
Oh, boy.
We're clicking right along.
Well done.
Minute 80 of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Captain Kirk!
He-Man!
Joe!